My name is Frank Curley. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. My family is here because of family abuse. Court encouraged child molestation. That is what has happened to my little granddaughter. I'm going to tell you how this came to be. Then again, my name is Frank Curley, and I'll be 87 years old in just a few days. My son Mark separated from his wife Libby in September 2005 when their daughter was 6 months old. Libby had failed a drug test while under mandatory random drug testing by the Alabama Board of Nursing. She was on probation with the nursing board due to the fact that Libby had been in drug rehab and had 2 suicide attempts. Upon the discovery of this drug test failure and her foregoing a number of documents to the nursing board, they demanded drug rehab again. And by the way, the drug she was taking was Klonopin, a widely used tranquilizer which is excreted through the breast milk. She had been breastfeeding my granddaughter. After the filing for divorce, Libby informed my son that she had been involved in a prostitution, human trafficking ring. She said that she had been involved in this until September the 6th of 2000, since September of 2006. My son met her a year and a half after that. According to her, she had blackmailed on quite a number of politicians, the judge being one. We thought that there might be some truth to this statement. At the time that my son met Libby, she was represented in a legal matter by the governor's son, Rod Riley, an attorney in Birmingham. About the time the divorce was filed, Libby filed a false charge of domestic violence, of which he was later acquitted. In the first hearing, which decided temporary custody, Libby was awarded custody, even though she still had a couple of weeks left in rehab. That is when we began to smell a rat. The week and a half divorce trial was absolutely bizarre. The judge, Sonny Ferguson, would not allow my son or his attorney to refer to Libby's medical records. He said that he would read them later, that they were admitted to evidence, but nobody could refer to them. They were quite voluminous. In those records, he would have seen that she had prostituted, had heavy drug abuse, issues dating back to her childhood, and regularly abused drugs while married to her first husband. These records showed that the prostitution occurred in her first marriage when she was mother of 2 small daughters. These medical records were replete with evidence of Libby's promiscuity and her reckless sexual behavior. They told of her half-dozen sexually transmitted diseases, of her living with another woman in a lesbian relationship, and of having an abortion. They also show where she was accompanied by her boyfriend rather than her husband at the birth of her daughter, Melinda, in 1993. The records also plainly state that Libby was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. She continues to adamantly deny this mental disorder. This all pales in comparison to what I'm about to tell you. These records told how Libby was abused emotionally and physically by her mother as a child. There were accounts of her own mother molesting her. Let that soak in. There were accounts of Libby's mother bringing men around to molest her when she was a child. Her mother had many live-ins. She was married numerous times also. Libby's records from 4 years prior to the trial gave a vivid account about her mother tying Libby and her sister up when she was about 8 or 10 years old. Their mother put a gun to their head and threatened to kill them. There was a story in those records about her sisters having deformed fingers due to their mother smashing them with a bean can. And Libby was finally removed from her mother at age 12 and placed in foster homes. Again, this was in the medical records. Most of the previously mentioned was brought up in trial by other means. Libby and her mother denied nearly all this. The proof that they were lying was on the judge's bench. Her mother did admit that her children were removed from her by court. How do you know these? How do you know what was in these records, you may ask? My son's attorney illegally took them from the courtroom overnight. The following day, the judge said he would not read those because they could be tainted. The attorney was never sanctioned. Court was adjourned for several hours while waiting on these. My son had to pay a small fortune to subpoena new records. He was also paying an attorney for several hours while waiting for those records. For all of their lying, Libby was awarded full custody of their child and a provision in the divorce decree allowing Libby's mother to babysit my granddaughter. The decree stated that her mother, Ann Vaughn, was to have her husband, Ray Vaughn, present on all occasions to help supervise. You heard me mention earlier that this woman's M.O. was bringing men around to molest. My son filed a motion to alter a man or vacate, but it was denied. The last person to testify in the trial was an attorney by the name of Clinton Pittman. We had heard of him before the trial. We had been told that they had met in rehab and were in a relationship, and he denied the relationship. About 6 weeks after the divorce trial, the domestic violence trial was held, and Clinton Pittman, I just mentioned, showed up and asked to be appointed special prosecutor. Judge Brad Bishop denied his request, and my son was acquitted. My son appealed the divorce decision to the Alabama Civil Court of Appeals, and Libby had told him that his efforts were in vain, that she had that covered also. Was she right? The case was denied by appellate judge Craig Pittman. Upon investigation, we discovered that he was the first cousin of Clinton Pittman, and we also discovered that Clinton was a staff attorney at the Civil Court of Appeals during the time that his cousin was in office. On June 15, 2008, my granddaughter disclosed to Dr. Tricia Working that she had been molested by her maternal mother's stepfather. The following day, Dr. Working, along with my son's attorney and some family members, met with Jefferson County Commissioner General George Bowman. He was kind enough to arrange a meeting in July of Mark's attorney, along with Dr. Working, and the governor's chief legal counsel. In the meantime, Mark filed a protection from abuse petition on behalf of his daughter. At that meeting at the governor's office, they discussed Mark's case and apparent blackmail and cover-up. They were questioning how they could get Jefferson County District Attorney David Barber to launch an investigation into that matter. And David Barber abruptly resigned that night after being the district attorney for 24 years. He had been in the DA's office for 35 years. And Mark was given a runaround after filing a complaint for perjury. I went with him myself on a couple of occasions and met the new DA, Brandon Falls. The same old stuff here that says that in July of 2009, a reporter, Roy Hobbs, with our local ABC television affiliate, aired Brandon Falls, stating that he would prosecute for perjury. And Falls was referring to my son's case as Roy Hobbs was waiving correspondence between the former DA and my daughter concerning perjury. The DA's office changed their minds when the cameras quit rolling. So later in July 2009, the trial of my granddaughter's protection from abuse petition was held. The judge, Sandra Storm, who is retired, but still hears cases in family court, refused the petition. And she told Libby, off the record, she felt something was going on at Libby's mother's house. Libby's mother was keeping my granddaughter at the time. And she advised Libby not to leave my granddaughter at her mother's anymore. If she felt that something was awry, why did she not give the petition? And 2 days later, my son got to see his daughter for the first time in 6 months. The mother had withheld visitation. Mark had filed a motion in Judge Ferguson's court for contempt of court, but he refused to hear it. And Ferguson has since retired. This is how Libby's other daughters feel about her. She has 2 other daughters by another marriage. Libby had given up custody of her oldest daughter, Jillian, to her first husband, who lives 200 miles away in another state. This was done prior to the divorce, when Jillian was 13 years old. And since the divorce, the middle daughter, Melinda, moved in with her father at age 16. Melinda has shown us pictures of bruises on her back, claiming they were where her mother bit her during a fight between the 2 of them. She told us where she had posted on the internet about her desire to kill her mother. Melinda and her boyfriend, Chad, were telling us how they had been discussing with her father about having Libby killed. Libby's first husband, Butch, had served time in prison for armed robbery. These 2 claimed to have had connections to a hitman. How far-reaching is this cover-up? I don't know. As you can see, it is fairly widespread, and I have just begun to fight. There is so much more that I would like to disclose. I shall be doing this by the way of website. I am in the process of having a website built. My son had a website, but a gag order was placed on him concerning this case. If you would like, you may mail me at my number, which is crisisinthecounty@yahoo.com. That's just a small portion of what it would tell, but we knew we had to condense it.